Hi there, and welcome back to Applied Analysis Services 2012 Tabular Modeling. In this demonstration, I'm going to show you how easy it is to analyze data in your Power Pivot models. As you will remember in the previous exercises, you spent quite a bit of time importing data from different data sources, getting familiar with the data, setting up relationships. All of this was the groundwork required so you were able to analyze data. And the easiest way to analyze data in Power Pivot is to use the familiar PivotTable and pivot chart reports, which are included in Excel. So here I am back in the Power Pivot window with the AdventureWorks model open. I'm going to click on the PivotTable drop-down. As you can see, Microsoft provides a few predefined report layouts. So for example, you can have, if you want to have just a single pivot table, then I can choose the pivot table option, pivot chart, and the other layouts are the combination of pivot table and pivot chart. For this exercise, I'm going to select the chart entitled vertical layout, and Excel is asking me where I want to put my report. I can put it on a new worksheet, but since we already have 3 worksheets in my Excel workbook, let's go and select the existing worksheet option. And let's go and click the selector button so we can specify a cell where the top left corner of the report is going to be placed. Now, based on my experience, it's good to leave a little bit of area around your pivot reports so they look better. So I'm going to select cell B2 on sheet 1. I'm going to click OK and OK one more time. Excel creates an empty chart, an empty pivot report. And then on the right side, you see the Power Pivot field list, which displays the metadata in my model. Basically displays the tables, and if I expand a table, it shows me the columns in that table. Now, it's very important to pay attention to which report is selected, because when I go and check fields in the Power Pivot field list, then if the pivot table report is selected, then this is the report that is going to be configured. So in my case, the pivot table report is selected. This is the first report that I'm going to configure. So let's go and expand the reseller sales table and check the sales amount field. Now what happens at this point? Power Pivot aggregates the sales amount field across all other tables. So essentially this number here represents the grand total sales amount across all other tables, across all my subject areas. Now, as you can see, Excel by default creates an implicit measure because that's a numeric field. Excel automatically adds that field to the value zone, and it names that field sum of sales amount. I can right click, however, on this field, and I can click Edit Measure. And here I can change if I want the I can change the name of the field. So for example, if I want my report to show sales amount, I can rename, I can specify a custom name. And if I want, I can also change the aggregation functions. As you can see, by default, Power Pivot for Excel uses the sum aggregation function, which is just fine in this case. So I'm going to click OK. So the power of Power Pivot for Excel is to let you slice and dice data by different subject areas, by different angles. So for example, if I want to see the sales amount grouped by perhaps a country, then I can expand the sales territory table and I can select territory country. Because this field is a text field, it has a text data type, Excel automatically puts it on row labels. So now I see my sales amount grouped by country on rows. And then if I want to see this data also grouped by calendar year on columns, I can expand the date table, drag the calendar year, and put it on in the column label zone. And then that kind of creates me pivot look and feel. So I have a crossed up report now that shows the data grouped by country on rows and on calendar year on columns. We have ability here to do filtering. For example, if I want to see the data for a particular country, I can go and expand the selector. Or if I want to use greater than, less than, there are a lot of actually filtering functionality built in the Excel pivot reports. One thing you can do if you want to filter the report on pages, I could go and, for example, expand the product table and drag the product category field and put it in the report filter area. So now I've got this report filter area here on top of my report, which by default shows me all product categories. But if I want to filter the report to show only bikes, I can go and do that. And there are also other features that you might find interesting. For instance, let's say you have a particular cell and the data doesn't look quite right. You want to see what's the level of detail behind that cell. Essentially, you want to see what rows are loaded in the model. So you can right-click on a cell and you can click Show Details, and then Excel actually generates a new sheet that shows me the level of details behind that cell. By default, only the first 1,000 rows are returned, but you can change that in the connection properties.